Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to our Power BI webinar. My name is Kelly Kay. I'm the Power BI MVP lead for Microsoft. And today we have the pleasure of listening and learning to Ana Maria Bisbé York, who will be showing us that Power BI is more than just a visualization tool. So with that, Ana Maria.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Kelly. I'm Ana Maria Bisbellor from Madrid, Spain. I'm very happy for being here today, ready to talk about how and why Power BI is not just a visualization tool, but a full BI tool. First of all, I want to thanks to the MVP program for the opportunity. I'm BI consultant, Microsoft Power BI partner, data platform MVP, and LinkedIn Learning trainer in Spanish language. I'm a member of Power BI user group in Madrid, Spain, and a leader of Power Platform Madrid Meetup. Sometimes Power BI is through of a, just intended to create the visualization. Just focusing on the name, we can correct this inaccurate perception. Power indicates strength, and BI stands by business intelligence. In this session, we will see how Power BI is ready to cover all the phases of Power BI project: integration, tabular modeling, reporting, sharing, and machine learning. All of these are integrated into Power BI. We will see how we can get the most from Power BI. I want to start thinking about why I should start learning Power BI. There's a lot of reason for that. I want to mention four of them. First reason could be the integration with the rest of Power Platform components. The Microsoft Power Platform is more than the sum of its parts. Connect them together to Office 365, Dynamics 365, Azure, and hundreds of others apps, and build end-to-end business solution. The second reason for me could be that Power BI it's a powerful tool for data analysis. Power BI is capable of flowing through all the stages of a business intelligence process. We are able to take confident business decision by putting data driving insights into everyone's hands using Power BI. Using Power BI, we will get self-service analyze even at enterprise scale. Power BI is a smart tool that allows us to find and share meaningful insights with hundreds of data visualizations, built-in AI capabilities, tight Excel integrations, and pre-built and custom data connectors. Power BI is capable of keep our data secure and compliant even when our data is exported. And also we can do extreme analytics in real time. And finally, we are able to turn insights into action. All of these things we are able to do using Power BI. The third reason for me could be that Power BI we are able to learn from a lot of training resources and available solutions. For example, I'm speaking about Microsoft Learn, about Power BI Guide Learning, and Power BI Documents. Just three samples of great resources. Besides that, tons of blogs and YouTube channels For example, Power BI official channels and GuianeCube channel, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of resources. And last but not least, wonderful and helpful Power BI user community. Do not lose the chance of traveling through the forums, ideas, galleries, and community events. The center of all of these efforts is the Power BI user group community. Power BI user group invites you to connect, learn, and discuss with business intelligence experts and peers. Power BI user group offers online and in-person communities where you can share best practice, take part in exclusive training opportunities, and connect with other passionate Power BI users from various professionals and industries. All of these reasons and much, much more are taken into account to the yearly analysis and reports Gartner and Forrester. Power BI is a leader business intelligence tool. Let's start looking at the ETL step, integrations and transformation. Power BI is a really good tool for ETL. Power BI is able to perform full ETL process with plane of integrated functionalities. Let's see an example. Here we have the original data, and here we have the final transformed by Power Query menu options. And here are the steps, all the transformations that were applied from the beginning to the end for this particular query. All of these steps, okay, together make up the Power Query query. Advanced Editor from Power Query menu lets us to look at the steps and at the M language within the query. Depending on the complexity of our data source, query dependencies will be more or less complex. We could see them using the query dependency option from the menu. The Power Query and ETL step is really, really important, and it's the starting point for BI project. Power BI, it's a great tool. It's a great tool taking into account ETL option and integrated functionalities. Here we have Power Query Editor. In this case, okay. In this case, we are looking at this example. Here we have the information about the population for by continents. Power BI allows us, using the transformation we have ready to use in the menu, we are able to, for example, remove top rows for cleansing data, remove all the columns we don't need, in this case, the total columns, and then create the tabular model for our Power BI. In this case, we need to unpivot these columns. And now Power BI allows us to rename the columns and then to define the correct data type. Depending on the quality of the data, we will need to, for example, take some cleansing actions here. For example, delete the spaces or delete depending some characters here. Okay, so Power Query allows us all of these things. Okay, let's move. Let's speak about tabular modeling. We are moving to the second very important step for a Power BI project. It's modeling, in this case, tabular modeling. There are three possible models: unique table, which is an example, snowflake model schema, and star schema. Okay, it's not good at all for our model to use this unique table. That means Excel mode, because tabular model is good on entity related model. That's this one, these two of them. And it's not good on using just a one very wide table. Snowflake means normalized model with links between dimension tables. And finally, star schema is the final denormalized model. DAX loves star schema, so I encourage you to try to create the optimal model for your business case. DAX will perform better. The star schema will be all the time the best options for tabular model instead of other two. Speaking about tabular modeling, there is a great Power BI guidance about data modeling. Is one of the most important topics. I found these articles really useful. For my Spanish speaking friends here, this guide is also translated to Spanish, so we can read in English or in Spanish. At the time we are working on the modeling step with Power BI, it's a good practice to solve and to define all the properties, settings, and formatting options for the model, the table, the column, and the measure. Let's mention, for example, several options. We need to manage relationship between the tables at model level. For example, we could define which will be the date table. And also, we need to, depending on the situation, we need to define the order for one column depending on the other column. So it's interesting that we need to solve many situations without DAX at modeling step. DAX is the most important step here, because by now we solve all the problems using Power Query and modeling options without DAX. So far, so good. Let's move to tabular modeling with DAX. Power BI is able to answer to the business requirements using DAX language. DAX stands by data analysis expression. Using DAX, we are able to obtain a measure, summarizing by a single column, for example, or by expression with multiple columns of a single table, or by expression with multiple columns from different tables. In these examples, total sales combines two columns from the same table, quantity and unit price from the same table. And then this expression, total sales by product price, combines two columns but one column is from sales table and other columns is from product table. List price is an attribute of product. Model is well defined, and DAX is our best friend here because using DAX we are able to solve the problem. Tables should be related. Okay. DAX expressions, for example, we can use both the measures in a table. DAX expressions allows us to create comparison using a filter value. In this case, we need the value of the sales of Australia, and then we need to compare the and to figure out the difference between the value for Australia and the value for the rest of the countries. There are the DAX expressions that allows us to solve all the business requirements without damaging our beautiful star schema and tabular model. All the solutions will be on DAX. So we need to learn DAX. It's really, really important. DAX, 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 and always DAX. Okay, DAX is the clue for solving business logic because the result returned by DAX expression will depend on the evaluation context. That means that it depends on the filters applies to the filters apply in the reports, and also will depends on the expression itself, and the logic could be changed using calculate function in DAX. In this case, for example, we are obtaining the value for Australia, and filter context will be changes using this expression. And finally, DAX is the way for solving all the time intelligence business problems. We will need a calendar table and the specific DAX expressions using calculate and DAX times intelligence functions, like in this case, date add. This is the optimal way for figuring out the value for the same period last year. Okay, let's see some examples here. Here. Okay. Here we are talking about evaluation context. The expression is the same, but the value returned by the expression depending on the context. Here we have total sales for black products. I will rid off of filter, so total sales without filter. Total sales here, depending on the country we are filtering on, and total sales here, depending on the country and on the color we are filtering on. Then we can use DAX just for definition of some business logic. Actually, we don't be using this kind of tables, but I want to show you that we have here a filter context by Canada, but because of DAX, because of calculate, we are showing sales for Australia, or here we are showing the total sales for all the countries. So DAX calculate function it's the clue here for obtaining, for solving all the business solution. This kind of solutions here, this kind of measures helps us for solve, for example, comparisons. If we need to create the comparison between one value, in this case, for example, will be Australia, from the difference from Australia and the rest of the values, we are able to solve using DAX measures. And in this case, also, we are taking in account the total line and the values showing for Australia could be 0 or in this case, nothing. Okay. So DAX is really huge point for the Power BI process, because when we are working on business intelligence project, we need to create all the metrics for the business requirement for our customer, and we will doing all of this. We will solve all of these requirements using DAX. Okay, so it's really important. And of course, Power BI, it's a visualization tool, of course. It's a great tool for reporting. It's a great tool for creating dashboards. It's great for working with charts and visuals. And this is the following the step on Power on business intelligence project. We have a lot of integrated visualization, and we are able to set all the settings and properties working with all the 3 available views. Fields for adding data fields to the options available depending on the chart type, then format view for defining the appropriate layout, and finally, analytics for taking the advantage of some analytical extra functionalities. And then again are depending on the type of visualization. For example, look at this. In this case, we are analyzing quantity by date. We have here a line chart, and we are analyzing the quantities of our sales by date. And Power BI allows us to define which will be the files, the fields we are using here for property axis and values. And we have other properties here. We're able to format, define the data colors, properties for axis, shapes, plot area, title, and so on. And also we are able to define, for example, trend line, and also forecast line. So in this case, we are able to see the trend line, and if we are taking into account the countries, we are able to see that the trend is not the same. So Power BI, it's working, it's analyzing the values and dynamically figuring out the value for the trending, and we are able to see that it's not the same, and it will be depend on the countries. The second line here, the second additional line here is forecast. we could see that the forecast is good because of the trend line we are able to see. But Power BI, it's creating this forecast using machine learning algorithm, and we are able to see that depending on the country, if Power BI is not able to find irregular values, Power BI is not able to define the forecast because data is too irregular. So depending on the country, we will have forecast or not. Okay. There's a lot of custom visuals. Right now, we have 254 custom visuals. There's custom visuals created by Microsoft or community in general. The majority of them are free, and the majority also are certified by Microsoft. We could find here a lot of possibilities, a lot of custom. They are really, really, really good because of the different kinds of analysis they are allowing us to do. So we need to check the custom visuals because they are improving and they are growing. Now we have four different types of custom visuals. Okay, and now we will look at machine learning inside the Power BI, and we will look at some visualizations that are integrated in Power BI all together with machine learning. I want to show you different examples here because it's really, really powerful, Power BI as machine learning tool also. Okay, so the very first point I want to show you, it's about Power Query. We saw that Power Query is really good on cleansing and transformation. I want to show you another really important point about Power BI, about Power Query. We can see that here we have a green line. A green line allows us to know that all the values are okay, are well defined. We have all valid, zero errors, and zero empty rows. This source, it's really good. We can see it's clean, it's really clean, but this is not the real life. We are those kind of sources where we have several null values, and Power BI allows us to look at the line and to realize that we have empty values there. It's really, really easy to realize about that. And we have another panels here. For example, we have a column quality panel. Here we have the information, the exact information about the percentage about valid and empty or error rows. And actually we have also options here if we want to remove empty values and so on. And we have two more really, really interesting panels here. We have a column distribution panel. And column distribution panel, it's really interesting because this panel allows us to see the distribution of the values. We can see here, for example, for color columns, that we have the majority of products have the same color, then another columns, and then the other columns are distributed more proportionally. We could see the same for list price or for size or for any of our columns. And two very important information, two very important numbers here. We have the information about the distinct and about the unique values. 10 distinct values. That means yellow, black, red, blue, so far. 10 to 10. And one unique. That means that we have only one product with one color. For example, just one product with a red color. And if we find this situation, this scenario, probably we are in the data quality issue. Because it's not normal that just one product will have the unique color. And Power BI, it's our friend again. And we have a column profile panel. And this will be really useful because, for example, in this case, we are able to see that here we have no problems. There's not data quality problem, just one product, it's for gray color. And here we see that the most of the colors has an A for color, then black, red, silver, and we are seeing again the distribution. It's really useful. Really useful. This is extremely useful for exploring data. I'm a consultant. That means that the data is not mine. I never know the data for my customer. And these panels allows me to understand the composition, the distribution, and the quality of the columns. So do not lose, and please use these kind of panels for from Power Query in Power BI. Then we have a really interesting chart here. Key influencers. Key influencers is an special chart that shows us the values of the columns that influences on the increment or decrement, and in my case is the likelihood or probability of buyer being 1. It's increased by, for example, cars is less, is 0 or less, incomes is more than this value, children it's between 0 and 1. So this is a data source for bike buyers. And here we have the information about the customers. So we are able to see that, for example, people that have more than one cars probably won't be a buyer. People which have 2 or more children at home, they are not able to buy more bikes. You know, so the key influencers is really, really good stuff because this chart allows us to analyze the columns. It's using the machine learning algorithm for showing us, for presenting us the uh, the more accurate analysis for our data. It's really, really interesting. And one of my favorite, I will show you, one of my favorite options for Power BI is analyze. We are able to explain the increase or decrease depending on the solution, and Power BI will be implement machine learning algorithm and will be we will obtain the explanation of the increase or the decrease of the values, analyzing all the candidates columns. And Power BI will figure out which columns are more relevant. In this case, for example, we are able to see that if we are looking at this chart, we could see, okay, we are doing really, really well. But looking at the analysis, we found that we have a model that we didn't sell a lot of this model. And Power BI offer us four kind of charts. In this case, it's a waterfall chart. Then we are able to see the same information, but using the scatter chart. And in this case, we are looking at all the models, and we could see the models that were really well solved. And also there's several models with problems. So it's not just one, there are several models. Here we have the information about 28 and 29. So this scatter chart is really, really useful because it's really to see, it's easy to see the information. This is the third chart. For me, is not very useful, but the following, the fourth chart here allows us to see. I want to move my, okay. Where is my tooltips? Okay. Here we have the information about the first year, the second year, and in the middle, this is a ribbon chart. It's integrating it in Power BI. Okay. Now we will see. Now we could see it's easy, really easy to see the difference between the 2 years, and we are able to see that this one was from the 7th position of the ranking to the he lose 26th position and was to 33. And actually we are looking at some models that just we sold in 2019, but not in 2019. It's fantastic. If we are happy with the charts, we can add to the page I did before. Okay, so we're able. And Of course, all of this analysis is able to be combined using, for example, countries slicer from here. Okay, so okay, we are able to, if we are working on Power BI service, we are able to see the information for our data. If we are working on a Power BI service, it's important to know that there is a quick analysis option of data. Power BI executes several algorithms and obtains the more significant relationship patterns and outliers found inside our data set. Clustering, we have here clustering, outliers here and there. We have a trending options, correlation, so there's a lot of information here. And it is interesting because, for example, if for us it's important this analysis, we are able to select and to ask for another analysis. So we are looking at more information inside of our data, and Power BI service is able to combine all the information using the Power BI integrated machine learning algorithm and do it dynamically, depending on the values of our data files and depending on the models we've created. It's really, really useful to use the quick analysis from the Power BI service. Okay, I want to show you more options, more Power BI machine learning options here. Okay, we have also the distribution analysis. Is the same option here. Right click, analyze, find where the distribution is different. It's also really, really good option because the distribution will show us the difference between the distribution of our data. In this case, we are using, Power BI is using the line and cluster column chart, and it's really, really good. We are able to create clustering from the table. Here, if we are looking at the table options, here we have the option for automatically find clusters. It's really, really good option. And also, we are able to also do for this kind of chart, and we are able to, for example, analyze the values using the cost by quantity, by product, and category. Category is one of my attributes. Or let's see, we are able to analyze using the clustering. So we can see that clusters are created depending on the behavior of the product ID. So it's really, really, really good. Using Power BI, we are able to, I will put this, we are able to use the Q&A option. The Q&A option is really easy to use. We double click and we will see the options here. Okay, so if we look at the, for example, quantity or total cantidad, sorry, is in Spanish. This is quantity by And depending on the column in our model, we are able to find the solution. In this case, for example, for education. But the problem is, what about if Power BI is not able to find the solution? For example, for training, I will ask for my total quantity by training. Power BI doesn't know what training means. Okay, let's train the model, and we could teach the Q&A, and we could say that training, in my case, will means education. And as soon as we define the solution, we will see that here we have the same information by divided by the different values of this attribute education in Spanish. Okay, so save and go. And because we have trained our model, now we have the same expression here. Now, Power BI knows that education and training is the same. It's really, really good. Key influencers we saw, and I want to show you the third machine learning chart here. We saw Q&A, we saw key influencers, sorry, and the third is the composition tree. The composition tree is also a really good chart here because we are able to analyze, and depending on which values we need, the highest, the lowest, we need to analyze using the attributes on whatever we want to find here. Power BI will be able to show us. It's really, really good. It's really good, this chart for letting us analyzing the values. Okay, so Power BI is a great tool for collaboration. It's one of the steps of BI project. Working on Power BI service, we can share contents like reports and dashboards. We can create collaborative spaces. We can manage subscriptions and alerts and a lot of more functionalities that are available depending on the Power BI license. So that means Power BI is not just a visualization tool. Power BI is an excellent tool for creating analytical models and reports. Power BI is a tool that covers all the stage of business intelligence project. ETL for cleansing, transforming, integrating, and wrangling data. Modeling, in this case, tabular modeling, using also a Power Query and, of course, DAX. Reporting, using all the functionality integrated in this great tool. And, of course, collaboration and also machine learning. Power BI is even better tool than I was showing today. I was covering a few of functionalities. There's more options, more functionalities, and more fun. Happy analyzing with Power BI. I hope this helps to you understand the value of Power, the real value of Power BI. Is there, I don't know if there is questions.
Yeah.
Can I
Hi.
get a copy of slides? Yes, of course. I will send the slides to Kelly, and I'm really doesn't know how could we distribute the slides.
We could absolutely distribute a PDF
Okay.
version. We can post it to the blog, and we can have an area where they can download if that's if that's what people would like. Let me ask if how we can do that.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Are there any other questions that Ana Maria can help answer?
I can't see. I'm not able to
I
see. Is
don't.
there?
No, I don't see any.
Ah,
And
not more questions. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's a
Okay.
yeah, it is a recording. We have recorded the call, the webinar, and it will be posted to YouTube within about 5 to 7 days once our closed captioning is complete.
Okay, great.
Oh, it looks like there's another question. Here we go. Thanks very much for the presentation, Maria. That's very
Okay. Thank you.
awesome.
It's I'm very passionate of Power BI. I'm in love with Power BI. Yes, the very first day Power BI was able in Europe, I was installed. The very first day. Yes,
That's
it's great
fantastic.
tool. I know, and it's important to understand that it's not just a visualization tool. It's a really really good BI tool. I'm BI person, so I know what means BI project, and Power BI is it's a BI,
Exactly.
totally BI tool. Yeah,
You can use it just for visualizations, but you know what? It does so much more. So much more.
exactly.
The
Ex-
insights, the what if scenarios, there's so many other things. It's fantastic.
Exactly. There's a lot more. I will show the what if scenario in the next webinar
Oh, that'd
using
be great.
DAX. Yes, I
Awesome.
will
I think
show because this is a great the great tool also, the
and
great functionality.
we just had a great comment from Jesus saying thank you very much. And with that, if there are no other questions, we'll give it another minute. And feel free to put your questions in English or Spanish because thankfully Ana Maria can speak 2 languages.
Oh, great. Oh, I'm so happy. Great. Fantastic.
Okay, looks
Fantastic.
like there are no other questions. Let's give another 10 seconds or so and then we can finish up the webinar.
Okay, great.
Okay, if you do have any other questions, please go to the blog, to the Power BI blog, or I think we also have the YouTube recording. Once that's posted, feel free to add some comments and view as well. Let us know how you go. Ana Maria, thank you so much for joining us today and helping us learn Power BI.
Thank you for having me in. Okay, till the next.
Okay, thank you, everyone.